everybody. Welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Marvelous Monday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to show you the bare basics, just the easiest thing that you can do with ink, stamps, and paper. And we call this simple stamping. So this is going to be a short lesson today, but I think it'll open your eyes to the big results that you can get with very few supplies and very little effort. So let's see what we've got here. I have a piece of paper. This is very vanilla thick cardstock, so it's got a nice heft to it. I have an envelope, and I'm using crumb cake ink, which is just a nice neutral light brown tone. And for the stamp set today, I'm going to be using something called Comfort and Hope, and this is a really nice texture set. It's got a lot of different textures and it's got some nice sentiments. Know that I love and care about you. Sometimes there are no words. Sending you a paper hug. Comfort and hope. And then you've got an assortment of really nice textures, and you even have something that looks like a little gemstone. So if you didn't have any something like this, the champagne rhinestone basic jewels, you could fake it with a stamp of one. Okay, and then just to take it a step further at the end, I also have some of our linen thread, and I'm just going to use this to wrap up the card. I'll show you. The basic adhesive that I like to use is Tombow, but I'm going to do the card two different ways. I'm going to do it with just stamp ink and paper, and then I'm going to do it slightly bumped up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my paper down to size, and I'm going to score it first at 5.5 on the long side. I'm just scoring that, and then I'm cutting this in half at 4.25. So with one sheet of cardstock, I can make two cards. I'm just going to fold that. There we go. So I have a clear block here. This is size D, which is a very versatile size. And I haven't even used this stamp set yet, so I'll show you what I do when I get a new stamp set. I take the sticker. So these are the stickers that you can put on the back of your stamps, but I don't do that right away. I just tuck them in the back of the holder. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this stamp, which is the one that looks like a herringbone brick patio design. I'm going to peel off that backing that it comes with, if I can grab it. Put it on my block. Looked like my screen froze for a minute. I hope you can see everything. Okay. And then I'm just going to tap that on my ink pad. And I'm going to do something called stamping off. Now this is just a piece of foam that I have covered with scrap paper. This happens to be our grid paper, which is handy because it has measurements on the sides. And I'm just going to stamp that off once and then stamp it on the paper. And what this does, it gives me a slightly lighter impression. I'm just going to do that 3 times like so. And then I'm going to select a sentiment. So in this case, I'm going to select know that I care, know that I love and care about you. Let me just make sure I've got that right side up. I'm just going to stamp that right there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one more image, and this time I'm taking the little leaf image, okay, which is that one. Peeling off the back. This could be the hardest part of the whole procedure. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to stamp this twice. So once full strength, and then a second time for a second generation. And that's it. That's just a really pretty basic card. And what you can do is you can also take your envelope and dress that up a little bit. I can take my leaf image and I can just put that on the flap. Okay, and let's do one inside the card as well. There. So that is card number 1. All right, let's take it up just a little step further. So here's a card base. And I'm basically going to do the same thing as I did before, which is to just take this background stamp, stamp it off once, and put this texture. Oops, I forgot to stamp that one off. That's okay. And just put that around the edges of the card. Now I'm just getting a piece of scrap paper. So here's another piece of Very Vanilla. And I'm going to cut that down a little bit. So let's just measure. I'm going to cut that down to 3.5 by 3.5. A little bit more. Let's make this 3 by 3.5. Like that. Now on this piece, I'm going to do the same thing as I did before. I'm going to take my leaf and stamp that twice, just like that. going to take my sentiment, put that like so, and then I'm going to try those gemstone images, and let's see what they look like. Do that a couple of times. There we go. Now, what I like to do, and this is just a little extra step that really isn't necessary, but I like to do it because I think it just makes it neater, is I'm just going to cut a little notch off the side of the card. On both sides. And I'm going to use that to wrap my ribbon around, but I want to do one more thing before we get to that point. I'm going to take this is a quarter of our little round sponges, and I've just stapled a piece of crumb cake cardstock to the pointy end of it as a handle. And I'm going to use this to sponge around all the edges. Just to give it a slightly distressed and a little more finished look. And I'm just flicking this around the edges, and I'm also angling it so that a little extra gets on the front of the card. Now I'm going to take my linen ribbon, and I'm going to wrap this around 2 or 3 times. So I'm just going to hold it in place with my thumb, and just 1, 2, 3. Give that a snip. I'm going to tie that in a knot, and I'm going to tie this knot right where the stems of these little leaves converge. So that's a double knot. And then you have a choice. You can either just snip off the extras and leave it as a knot, or you can tie a little bow. So that's entirely up to you. I'm just going to put a little bow for this one. Snip off your tails. And now I'm going to take a couple of dimensionals, and you can see I've used up most of this sheet of dimensionals, so I'm just going to snip along the edges. Use every last one. Peeling away the backing. All right, and then I'm just going to place this right in the middle of my card. And there you have basically simple stamping with just a little bit extra. And if you really want to go for the sparkle, you can take one of your embellishments and I'm just using one medium one and two little ones, just like that. And there you have it. So that's a great way to get a lot of bang for your buck with just a few very simple supplies. So we've got paper and envelope, stamp and ink, and in this case we have a little bit of a ribbon or a linen thread embellishment and the champagne rhinestones. So thank you very much for joining me today. I'm working on the second edition of June's online classes. I've extended the registration. There's still plenty of time to join, and I've got 5 different offerings. So I've got a card class, a 3D box class, I have a painting with ink class just for paper crafters, and a painting with watercolor class, and also that seascape class that I had previously announced. So that's all coming right up. So you still have time to register for any or all of those classes, and all you have to do is go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to notes. And by the end of day today, I'm going to be sending out the new announcements with all of that information on there. And there's a lot, and there's more than what I just mentioned. So please do that. Go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to notes, and you will be fully updated. And join me again next Wednesday for Watercolor Wednesday at 12 noon right here, and I'll see you then. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.